Hello, everyone. I was just thinking as I was chatting to Leanne and hitting the buttons, I forgot one. There was one I missed. I had to do start broadcast. And I thought, yeah, it's still going to get at 10:30. We're going to be spot on time. Nah, just ticked over to 10:31. So that's what it was. Yeah. So thank you for those that are going to be present for the live as we just have a chat in general. Specific topic we haven't really decided yet, but we'll introduce ourselves first because some people that do come onto these lives haven't met us before. So I'm Boundy, and I am a psychic medium, and I also do other stuff like hypnosis plus, and that is the current business name I'm using, so which you'll see in the description anyway. And this is Leanne. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Leanne Winston, psychic medium. I also do healings, intuitive healings, distant healings, mentoring, coaching, all sorts. So welcome, everyone. And how are you today, Ros?
Feeling a little bit rushed because I did need to go up to visit my local doctor because I did have an interesting weekend with a little bit of chest pain. So I actually ended up with a short visit to the hospital where I was, which was visiting up north Fisherman's Bay. So the hospital there's Port Broughton Hospital, and it's quite a nice little hospital. Just the overnighter because turned out it wasn't heart, but it was probably reflux or whatever. So I was just getting it checked by my local GP and things like that.
Wasn't all that good cooking that Tony does, is it?
I don't know, because when it's reflux, you sort of instantly think of the food.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think probably it's more to do with my size, which I am over the 100 kilos and I really need to get it off, is basically the message that I'm getting. So from whatever avenues, they'll all say the same. And it does come to a point of having to deal with it. So I think Saturday was a warning.
Yeah, and I think it's a perfect time leading into summer. Now the weather's getting better, it's getting warmer. We're starting to feel better within ourselves to be able to take a little bit more notice of what our bodies are saying. Because I think we've been unhappy for a little while over winter. I know mine has. Yeah, for sure.
And we do try. It's the warmth factor too with a lot of it. Food is warming, of course, when it's and you're needing to warm up. It's what I do sometimes too. Love the soups, the breads that go with the soups, little things like that. Eat healthy, yes, but it's all of that stuff. So many of us that are in the areas of concern. Yes, there's ways too that we like to make excuses and put it off and things like that, but it's the stories behind it sometimes that we tell ourselves, and other issues around why we eat what we eat sometimes as well. It can be cultural, it can be just emotional, it can be all the other reasons that we do. Now, just wanting to acknowledge Natasha, Annette, hi, and Susie. It's nice to see some live people on live.
Live people, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting if the dead people were actually typing too?
Well, you never know. It's amazing what they can do.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It's crazy.
It's the channels that they use.
Definitely.
Because I've certainly read some very interesting works and writings that have been channeled. That it's wisdom from the other side. Yeah. So, what's the other side? It's what we're just saying, well, we're talking to the dead people. Yeah.
That's it. I love automatic writing. It's beautiful. I actually did some automatic writing yesterday, only a very short one, just for my students' workshop, my online course that starts tonight, just sort of a bit of an opening message from Spirit. So I love the way they take over. So they didn't like being restrained though.
Well,
I only gave them one page and that was it.
Yeah.
A small
just a question on that while thinking about that too. When actually in that mode,
sort of set my goals with Spirit to only fill the space that I had on one slide for the show, like for the workshop sort of thing, that I was allocating that. So yeah, I could feel their frustration in trying to get the words, the message across within those boundaries. So I did get that they didn't like that idea. I could have probably done another page as well, but I'd rather maybe do another message next week that can go into it. We'll see what plays out.
Yeah, so with that, as far as, that, because I know for me it feels like it's a automatic chat, like you're not actually speaking words, you're actually chatting internally with them. Yeah. How I'm just trying to think, because some of the personalities that we come across can be quite cheeky, and there is and bossy. How with that process, if someone else is trying to do that for themselves, like as your students and the rest, how do you actually sort of put across that, no, hang on, I'm putting this boundary in. You've got to
well,
how do you do
in that text or that thing? I would normally say to my students, just do a meditation, clear your mind, breathe with the intent to write, pick up the pen and the paper and put them together. Allow the pen to flow. You might feel like you need to start the writing, but they will take over. They usually tell me when they're finished and what to write, sort of thing. It never looks like my handwriting. Obviously, with this one, I sat at the computer and I typed it for them, but usually I can look like a child that struggles to put letters together, or the word, some letters might be around back to front or upside down, or I could be like a really elderly person, very shaky sort of thing. It's really interesting when you start to do your automatic writing, how it changes depending on the energy that you are channeling in that sense. So, for me, it was hard to limit it to that one space, and I don't normally put limits on it. It was just that I wanted to put a message there. I wanted to channel a new message from previous workshops that I've done and use that message. I wanted to sort of make it about this group that has come together, because tonight is the first online one, and I see Annette's online and she's one of the beautiful students joining in tonight. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. So it's going to be interesting to see where Spirit takes us over the next 8 to 9 weeks with it. And Spirit will step in and change things up. I can set the course notes. I can do all that groundwork, but the moment you get in that position, that moment, that space as a class, Spirit will pull us in different directions. So we may go offline off of my set out a little bit as well. So it's interesting, and I put my trust in Spirit to give us what those students need, sort of thing. So we've got some that have got a little bit of experience. We've got some that are very interested in this side of stuff and just sort of kicking off. But I believe the right people come together, which is really good. And it's got the giggles. I love it.
I had to put that up. You mentioned the meditation because as far as being in that space and sharing the energy that's with the group that you've got together, as far as for your course and everything. So because I do feel for myself that the meditation is an important process to actually have that focus on what energy you have within yourself, and also feeling and connecting with what's in the groups.
Well, meditation, for those that don't do it, it's a good way of clearing your mind, to turn off that clutter in your head, the chat that goes on, because we've all got it. Some of us are better at controlling it than others, or have had more practice of shutting it out, sort of thing. So it's about taking the breath, working with the breath, raising your vibrations, clearing your mind to give you that clearer, bigger picture. And when we do that, we quite often will feel Spirit come in around us. And it's just understanding the senses that we use to connect with it. And we all work differently. So for me, as the teacher, the mentor, I can teach you the tools I know and help you work out how you work and how to strengthen those tools, those elements, sort of thing. So I love it. I'm really excited about kicking off this workshop tonight, because I do feel that it's a very good group of people. And, more and more people are starting to awaken. If they have already started that process, they're looking to strengthen, which is really good. It's bringing change.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with most people too. With most groups and everything, you've got the different levels within that as well. Not that there's actually a grading system that you can say, there is this level, this level, this level, that you're actually climbing a ladder, for instance. Because you mentioned, creating that higher frequency to be more open to receiving, and that is a different type of energy. It is the frequency is a higher frequency, even when you start talking of notes and sounds, because that's where my experience is with sound therapy and that. I can understand that from that point of view, but when you're sort of looking at it from experiencing that from the energetic point of view, what really is the difference? Why is it that we actually need to be in that higher frequency to be able to receive? Because for me, I sort of think, well, we should be able to receive at any point. But, and that's where that sort of in my mind comes in.
That's the thing. And I think probably the best way to explain that, Ros, would be when we're in our everyday stuff, we've got life happening. We've got the clutter. We've got all that sort of thing that blocks things. Some of us choose. I strongly believe that we've all got the ability to connect with spirit. It's about training ourselves and knowing how they work, that side of it. That could be a package, hun. Sorry, I think Postie's at the door. And being able to sort of let go of that energy around us that causes that clutter, so to speak, but it will bring our vibrations up. We sort of become more centered, more grounded, less in the head. With me, when I channel, I kind of step out of my body to allow them to come in, sort of thing. So I'm like, for those that know me, know I live with chronic pain. And when I'm channeling, I can let go of that, so I don't take that side of it on. So it's incredible in the way that it works in that way. So it's just about raising our vibrations, and we do that through our breath work, because a lot of us do not realize how much we hold our breath rather than take that real deep inner breath. Look at anxiety. It's all that shortness of breath. And I know I used to do it when I first had my injuries and the chronic pain started. You don't breathe because you think it's going to hurt. So it's just, changing that way of that. It's like Christmas here today. Parcels are arriving. It's great.
Which too, when you're saying as far as the breath goes, I mean, so many times I've been told, look, you've got to remember to breathe, because it was something that I wasn't really all that aware that I was forgetting to breathe. I'd be driving through the hills. That was my stress point that really focused it for me, that, I'm holding my breath all the way going down. And this was the old devil's elbow days. So it was quite a while ago. Doing my first ambulance trips down through the Adelaide Hills, and I'd never really driven down the Adelaide Hills, and you sort of, that whole bit I was pretty much almost holding my breath. And other times it is that connection of the mind and the stress level and anxiety of doing something not comfortable with. And yes, we hold our breath a lot more often.
Did you hear that?
What's happening? No?
My second screen all of a sudden started playing a video live, and it was talking about holding your breath, so it's just on that delay.
Oops.
Obviously, you're needing a reminder on that, Ross.
Oh, yeah, because I got back here knowing that Leanne's, but I've got to do that. Hang on. There you go. Oh, there's a sequence here. Sorry, I'll go back to this first. Okay, until my heart's beating so fast. Fan, it's spirits around you.
Okay, so who do you think it is? I'll test you before the workshop even starts, honey. I love it. So, white orbs, beautiful. Okay.
Oh, you're going to have so much fun for the course.
Oh, I know. And, Spirit never plays nicely. They always take me in a different direction. So it doesn't matter how much work you put into your notes and stuff. And they will take us where we need to. And that's part of the surrendering and the trusting in it sort of thing as well. So, which is good. But just going back to the breath, Ros, a lot of us, even for our health, need to breathe because we forget to, and we're starving our body of that oxygen, getting it into our blood cells and stuff like that, so our body's going to react. And when we are in pain, it is a common thing to hold your breath, and a lot of us don't realize that we're actually doing it. So sometimes whether we set a alarm on our phone or our watch to remind us to breathe, every half an hour or every hour or whatever, but to take that deep breath, it's incredible the difference. So, and it helps our energy. I can look at people and see that when they're holding their breath, their aura sort of shrinks inwards sort of thing, but when they are breathing and they open up, and I love watching my students meditate, as much as I've got their eyes closed and they're doing their thing, I'm watching what's going on around them, and you get colours come in, you see their auras expand. It's great. So
so much activity, really, when there's the meditation happening. It is a good experience. It is a good experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and just what I was thinking when you were saying the breath, because in general, most meditations will start with the breaths and the deep breaths. Even with hypnosis, it starts with the deep breaths. So it actually is a basis for quite a lot of our all-over health in that calming of the mind initially, like you said. But also the brain actually does feed from, it is oxygen and sugars. And we've got to have enough water to have yourself hydrated. So, the three essentials that we need.
I haven't started on my water yet. I had to get a glass ready.
I have to admit, I went and had the good old coffee, so I'm still drinking the coffee.
I've had my shake this morning. That's as far as I've got so far.
So
we've got paperwork everywhere.
Water in it. It has a milk. Oh, it's a tiny bit of milk that's probably good from dairy, but it's all good to create that balance in life, to be aware of the whole realm of the fact that we are a physical with the mental things happening in our monkey mind and stuff like that. We need to be able to take care of that, as well as our spiritual life, our connections, and really, for me, my understanding, that's the essence of who we are, is our soul center, our spirit. So
it's just got to
have a vessel.
Oh, exactly. If the vessel lets us down, we're out of here, so to speak. So
that's probably meaning that time is when we're meant to anyway. So how do we know?
That's it. And it's 8 o'clock, honey. 8 to 9. 8. Central. Central. So
it's Adelaide. Students on Adelaide time.
Yeah, I booked it all on Adelaide time. I think there may be 1 or 2 interstate students off the top of my head. But we've got 2 from Broken Hill. I know that. And I've got a feeling somebody else is from Victoria. And so, and it just allow maybe an hour and a half, I reckon, because more than likely Spirit's going to sort of push close to that hour and a half each week sort of thing. So we could talk about this stuff all night. And we just got Hannah's there, with the message as well, just saying, hearing a lot of synchronicities in what you're speaking of. Thank you. You're very welcome, Hannah.
That was down there. I think I did show that up at the time that we were chatting around that.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. Sometimes we read them. I'm reading them because I'm sitting here with the control box. Where you can't see that bit, you're monitoring
on Facebook.
So that's so I've just realised that even in the back end of it, on the control panel, there is actually a time stamp against each of those comments, which of course doesn't show up there or where we are in the actual conversation. Sometimes it gets lost purely because we have the number of comments at times, especially when the readings are up and happening. They flash through so quickly. So,
oh, they do. It's crazy when you get. I think one night I had something like, what do we have? 900 and something people on at once. I think it was. It was something crazy, and I was just like, "Oh my God, breathe, Leanne!"
Yeah, and it was like that on. Was that one we did? No, that was when you were with.
No, this was the very first one I did.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, guys. When you're watching these, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it as a repeat, feel free to hit the share button. Tag your friends and family that you might think that conversation that we've had today or any other day may resonate with them, or this could be something that they're very much interested in, because it just helps us spread the love, so to speak, and get our messages out there. And if it, what we're saying resonates with one people, I think my job's done, whether it's one people or it's 100 people. If you can give that one person something to think about or give them a tool to help, it makes a difference. So
that's right. It does, and it does make a difference. Can be just that one phrase that you might even not know that you've said.
Yeah, that's it. So, Hannah, I just need to touch on. I don't know if Susie's still there, but I'm going to look at the relationship at the moment. So every time I look at her name, Susie Crush, on the Facebook page. Yeah, I just get the reference to the ring, which is usually my sign around the relationship. So I don't know if you're going through changes or taking the next step in your relationship. I just get very drawn to my ring and playing with that side of it. All right, so honey, I hope that I'm not getting warning bells or, feel like the relationship's over, but I just feel like the focus is in the change in the relationship at the moment, because I just feel very excited around it, and I'm playing with the ring with that side of it. Okay.
So that's one you sent. That one, Susie was here. That was at the start. So hopefully
I don't know if Susie's still watching. Yeah. So if she's meant to, she'll get that message.
Yeah, and yes, interestingly, it did come up, the synchronicities, when you mentioned, as far as, I popped up that comment after you'd said it, as far as Hannah's goes, hearing a lot of the synchronicities, because it just so happened that whilst I was in at my GP's, that there was next week, there's, a series. They must do them once a month or something like that, stress testing for heart-related things and whatnot. I'd never had one done. Synchronicities. It just happens to be one space next week. So who's having a stress test next week?
It's meant to be.
Yeah, it's just so many things really do pop up that are so meant to be, so synchronous in what we're supposed to be looking out for ourselves, as well as being open and aware to what those messages are that we're getting, even if it is, a scare of chest pain that wasn't heart, thank goodness, and all the rest of it for the physical. Looking after ourselves, we need to be doing that more. And so, tick, 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 the mind starts ticking over. What way is the best way to look after oneself? Get in tune with listening to yourself, listening to your own body. Where does that start from? Well, it probably is a good idea to get into some meditation and scan the body. Do that inner search, that inner feeling of what's happening in our own body, because it's one thing to go and ask someone else for advice, but they don't know you like you do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And I guess over the years, as much as I have strengthened my ability to connect with my body, I quite often walk into the doctors and he says, he or she, whoever I'm seeing, says, "What can I do for you today?" I've got this going on. My thing was my ears recently, earlier in the year, and I walked in and I said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I've got an ear infection, or I'm about to burst an eardrum." And he goes, no, it's fine. If it's no better in 4 days, come back. By 4 days' time, I had the fever and I had the full-on symptoms, and then it was off to see the specialist. And I'm like, well, if you'd given me the medication when I walked into the first time, I may not have needed to see the specialist. But it is something that was ongoing. And it's funny because spirit uses my hearing a lot, so they pull on your weaknesses. Sometimes can be your strongest point when you connect with spirit.
Yes.
Oh, Susie's back. She wasn't there. Yeah. You have to watch the replay.
I just noticed that. And we'll listen again shortly.
Yeah. Is that your doorbell?
Yeah, it is actually. And I'm thinking, do I ignore that or what? I better just go and get that.
That's all right. I can talk if you want to
continue onward.
Get that. Yeah. So, yeah, Susie, you'll be able to just watch the replay, honey. I just was being drawn around the relationship, the ring with yourself with that. But I think sometimes when we can become one with our bodies, we can quite often tell what's going on sort of thing. So I have a lot of problems in my lower back with my disc and nerve damage through an accident with a roof falling on me about 5-6 years ago. But I know when I wake up in the morning, quite often that disc has moved a little bit or there's been change in it sort of thing. So whether my hip's gone out while I've been sleeping or something along those lines, I can quite often sort of tell with that. We can heal our own bodies. So I quite often say to my clients, see yourself in your meditation, go in your body where that problem is and see the cells becoming more healthier and happier with that side of it. We hold on to the negativity, and for those that have sort of been following me for a while, you might hear me talk about the aura and how we hold on to things in our lives. So if we've been holding on to, say, energy from something that happened 15, 20 years ago, that does sit in our energy field. And eventually it becomes the physical. So we will manifest those health issues with that side of it if we can't let go. And I quite often say to people, it's really important to let go of that stuff that you're holding on to. So look at what's going on in your life, whether it's now or it's in the past. You may have suffered a trauma or a experience in your past that has had you hold on to anger or one of the emotions, so to speak, that will then manifest and just keep sort of growing in that side of it. So it's really important to be able to acknowledge what is going on, let it go and find some closure with that. And that way our bodies will stay happier and healthier. Because I quite often look at people with cancers and stuff like that to what they've been holding on to over the years in their past sort of thing, and how, if they've been, my thought is quite often, and Spirit shows me, if they've been able to acknowledge that stuff when it came up earlier in their life, they may have been able to have avoided that health issue. But hey, it is our journey. A lot of the time that stuff is already picked out for us. So cancer could be one of those that does take your life, but that's the way you've chosen to go in this lifetime. We're just talking about how we hold on to energy and stuff, Roz.
Yes, Donna. I heard you talking about cancer and whether it's the way you go or it's not. Well, I chose not to use that avenue, obviously.
Yeah, so. And that's the thing. We can use the mind. I remember a beautiful soul that I did some work with. It must be May would have been 2 years ago that she passed. She contacted me about 3 years prior. I wish I could clear my mind. Honey, it takes practice. It's something you need to practice. So don't be deflated the first few times you try if it doesn't work. But this lovely lady reached out to me. She had breast cancer and she was in hospital. And she was in New South Wales in the more sort of country area. And she was taken to hospital because her local hospital couldn't cope with her illness. They weren't equipped for it. So they sent her to the next biggest hospital, which was 200 k's away for her husband, well, her boyfriend at the time, fiance, to travel with her son to see her. So she was hardly seeing anybody and she just thought she was dying. And I'm like, see those blood tests coming back, what you need to get back to your local hospital, and do the work, do the meditation. So I took her through some meditations and whatnot. I did that for about a week, nearly every day. She sent me a message because it was funny. This one day I hadn't heard from her, which I thought was unusual. Sent me a message the next day and said, "Oh my God, guess what?" And I said, the test come back in a level they were happy with. She said, yeah, they sent me home. I didn't have to go back to the local hospital. I could go home. And it was the same when she fell over and broke a leg over her son's Tonka truck. You know, we went through the same thing, see the bones heal, and they were actually quite impressed with how quick she healed. And we even got to a stage we were working on tumours because she had multiple tumours by that time, and all bar one tumour was shrinking. And the doctors are going, but hang on, we've only given you something like 3 months to live, I think it was at that stage. And she lived on for another 1.5 years, and she was determined to get to walk down the aisle with her husband, and she did it. She died 3 months after, but she did it. Yeah, sort of thing. So
that was the intention she wanted. The power of what you can do for yourself. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put this one up. Hi, Joy. Good friend of mine over in Western Australia. There's no such thing as coincidence. It's a word made up by a person who doesn't believe in a higher universal power. Everything has a reason. Exactly.
It does.
We have some good chat sometimes. I can't find where is that.
But it's the synchronicity of those things that happen, I think. So, you know, it's always the timing is very much around it.
Yeah, and further to that, of course, spirit does work in mysterious ways. I don't know whether you actually referred to that yourself, as I wasn't in here.
No, I can't see those comments, hon. My comments aren't moving on my screen for some reason. I'm not meant to see comments today.
It really is. I mean, just seeing Joy, got her name there, and other people, and having to answer the doorbell. And it was a neighbour who was looking after, keeping an eye out and collecting my mail while I wasn't here for that week of me sort of going off and having a bit of time out too. Yeah. It was just brought to mind too how wonderful it is, the connection that we can have with each other as people, and feeling that sense of community even with distance, and how we can connect through technology such as this, where it used to be a phone call, and before that it used to be just letters, or the only way you caught up with people was go and meet them at distance and all the rest of it. How much of a long way we've come, and how much it has actually sped up that awareness and that awakening up of people, because of the energy being that much more. Well, it is different to what we were, of course, when we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, from the time we're born. It keeps onward and onward and changing, but it's still the essence of what we actually experience is pretty much a base of, it's that love connection for relationships and the desire to continue on getting. I mean, a lot of us want perfection. Well, the perfection is in being now and present. So just seeing that, it's good to see people we know.
Spirit's really pushing today. Just touching on being in the present, Roz, can I just acknowledge, I want to I'm not sure who I'm going with because I can't see all the names on the screen as my Facebook comments have frozen. But I've got a father figure that is stepping in, and he's giving me the smell of roast lamb. Okay, so I feel like we've got the family once a week, or regular roast lambs that the family would come together, and I get, good morning, Lauren. I get the reference to the father figure is very much around his daughter at the moment. So I do feel that he is, hi Jessie, is wanting to connect with his daughter as well. I do feel this gentleman's a little bit more on the taller side. It did carry a little bit of weight. Hey Susie, so maybe it could be your dad. So I do feel this gentleman did carry a little bit of weight, and I feel like he sort of struggled to stand tall at the end side of his life with that. I get the reference to he did struggle with his health a little bit and didn't take as much care in the way that he should have, but he loved his roast lambs. I just keep getting the smell of roast lamb. All right, he's actually making me feel hungry with the smell of it. Can you smell that, please? Can you smell roast lamb? No, Flick can't smell it. So no, that's all right. So
I'd have to ask. Is it with Is it with mint sauce and rosemary? Love rosemary.
I don't know about the rosemary, but give me the mint sauce and the veggies and the gravy. What am I having for lunch, Flick? Flick's making next to me today on the other computer in the office. So, my dad loved his roast lamb food in general. Yeah, okay. So I just get the feeling probably near the end he was eating things that he probably shouldn't have been. But I just get the reference to, okay, Jessie, and sorry, my phone's ringing. Susie, who had the diabetes or the higher sugar? Would you like to take that one? Oh, sorry, I just read my phone. It's at Flick. So to me, I get the feeling that somebody was on the verge of diabetic or having, I don't feel like necessarily diagnosed with diabetes, but I do feel that the sugar was, okay, Jess, I'm with your dad with that. Okay. So I get the hand on the heart, which is very high sugar. Yeah. So was he actually diagnosed or were they watching it? Oh, he was. Okay, beautiful. Okay. I just get the reference to he struggled with that side of it, but he's got his hand on his heart, which is my sign for love and pride for you. Your dad was very determined. I get the feeling he was pushing. It was like I could smell that roast lamb like literally really strong, like it had been cooking for hours in my kitchen. It's not. I wish it was. I could do with roast lamb for tea. But yeah, and I actually had to check with Flick to see if she was smelling it too. But she wasn't in that sense. But yeah. So honey, please know your dad's very much around you at the moment. All right. Yeah. And I think very determined.
Yeah, I think too the reminder that even though what you've picked up probably is Jessie's dad more than like what Susie has, that the energy is around messages being for more than just the one too sometimes, isn't
That's
it?
Yeah, and Susie,
if it feels right for you. Yeah.
That's it. And I always say when I do my live shows, like I've got a live show in Broken Hill this weekend at the Demo Club on Friday night. If there's something in that message that relates with you, Susie, take it as your own as well. It just blew everything off my table. All right, so he's still very much around too, Annette. Oh, okay, honey, it's in the timing. So look at what's going on in your life at the moment and why you needed to hear from your dad, but he's very much around you. He's very proud as well. And Susie, I think your dad is too. So, we always get, I could have a audience of 100 people and I could be talking to one or two people that are there together, but parts of that message can resonate to another half a dozen sort of thing. But if it takes them to that memory and makes them feel close or allows them to feel close to their loved one, so getting the indigestion, so I get the feeling he got indigestion. So I'm not sure. I actually feel like I'm probably with Susie's dad with that one, with the indigestion. So I don't know if he would get indigestion through medication. I'm just being drawn around that side of it.
Was it around the heart that you were feeling it?
Oh, yeah.
Lungs, sorry.
The chest. Yeah. The chest was where I was getting the indigestion. I do feel like I'm short of breath. I don't know if he would feel hot at times, your dad, Susie, but I get the reference to the heat. Sorry, that pain was mine, not theirs. Okay, so I want to say, please, ladies, both know that your dads are very much with you at the moment. Okay, so you're welcome, Susie.
Yeah, and there you go. Just saw that from Jessie.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right. Wonderful. So, honey, I want to say, look at what's going on in your life at the moment, Jessie, and know that he's very much around giving you the support that you need. Bad for his because he couldn't breathe. Okay.
Is that something? Sense. Because we brought up breath earlier, that it might be something to do
it could with be that too. But I feel like your dad, I'm having hot flushes. So I don't know, and I can see I know the light brings the redness out of my face, but I don't know if he would get quite red in his face. Couldn't control his temperature. He can have it back. I want to say it would feel like he was going through menopause if men could do that, but I just can't. Yeah,
it's really resonating with the bow. So I think I find it amazing how spirit just does work.
Yeah.
Work through
That's
us differently.
And see, sometimes you can have spirits step in and they can bring another one in, and it's I love it at shows when that happens. It's like I'm concentrating on a family or one person or whoever it is with their loved one, and next minute that loved one that's passed over brings in another spirit, and I could jump to the other side of the room and they don't know each other. And you know, it's incredible how I call it piggybacking. Spirit will piggyback on each other, but that's the caring, loving ways of one family member to bring through another's family member. So I love it. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of excitement with spirit at the moment. I'm feeling it this week. Put it that way. So
that's great.
Yeah,
Good,
things are changing for the better. I think in the energy wise at the moment, so people are starting to become a little bit more lighter, so to speak. So
do you think that that's got a lot to do with? Because I'm thinking as thinking. It's not the thought process. It's just from my experience when I first started back in with the more awareness for spirituality rather than religion. As far as what my experience was, and that was back, around the 2000s and onward, where that started to gel for me, and I was starting to listen and became more aware. And you're talking about it now. Do you think that it actually goes in cycles, or is it just that because there is the build-up in humanity of a need for something else and searching for something else, and that's raising because of? What's your ideas on that?
I think it does sort of go in cycles a little bit, and I think we need to, they need, spirit will find a way to come through one way or another. But I do think that things do go in cycles, and I think there's times that we need to focus on other things, and there's times in our life that we do have that bit of awakening. It might take something to trigger it in that sense. And I was talking to my sister-in-law that seen a medium or had a medium over on the weekend, and that medium actually was at an event or at a place where an event happened only a couple of minutes prior, and it was kind of like spirit took her out of that area. And that really triggered her senses, sort of thing. So, if it's not going to whack you in the face, it'll find you one way or another, sort of thing with that. And, beliefs do come in. I think we're awakening as we are evolving, sort of thing. And I quite often say to people, look at what's going on in the universe at times too, because that energy of the universe can block things, but can at the same time really heighten things as well. So sort of looking at what's sort of going on in your world. Ros, can you hear the conversation going on in the background?
I can, and I don't know where it's from. It's not from here.
Okay, no, hang on, just one sec. I'll just mute you for a sec.
But yeah, okay, yep. So, I don't know how this comes up on the recording either. As far as the conversation goes, I wasn't able to actually identify the words completely, but you could hear it.
That's all right. It's just Felicity's on the phone in the background. She left the office and went to the back room of the building. But we could see my microphone is still very sensitive, but it was picking it up. My poor little Yeti.
I thought the Yeti was a directional, as in if it was pointed at you, that's all.
But she's sort of in the room behind me.
So the sound actually traveling.
Yeah, and because this building's got a lot of tiles and it sort of echoes through the room a bit, sort of thing. Yeah. So she's just gone into another part of the house that's got carpet in it. So I wasn't listening to what they were talking about, but I could hear her voice.
It was only the voice I could hear, not the actual word for word conversation. But as you were doing that, I was looking, because I like to look at the screen, because I feel it the camera, because it does feel like I'm actually talking to a person. Which is the whole idea of this. We're chatting with people, real people on the other end, and whether it's replay or not. And so as I'm looking down, I'm sort of thinking, my awareness is not at that. But I did miss a couple of the comments that were there in line, as far as what was written by Jessie And I just like the fact it's 11:11. So she had gone to the cemetery and chatted for an hour. I actually like
only a
chatting
couple hours ago. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I love synchronicity.
It is, isn't it? And I've got a photo of Mum and Dad on the wall as I go in and out the office, because that's my most important experience of Dad in his later years, was here in this office at this desk. You know, so there's many different ways that we can chat to them, whether we go to the cemetery or, you know, chatting with a phone or just using what's actually in the memory in the heart, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Jessie, if that is not the way to show you that he is with you, honey, at this time, when you need him, probably one of the times at the most, I don't know how else he could show you any stronger that he is there. I just get the big smiles. It's like, I want to see your dad was cheeky. So I'm really lost and confused. I'm really struggling. Do you think pick up anything for Sherry, hun?
It actually is more of a swell that I'm picking up as a pattern. So to me, it just feels like there is a pattern that's repeating and repeating, and you really need it almost. I just saw a machete or something that just chopped through it.
Cut through it. Yep. Take a moment and breathe, honey. Raise your vibrations and see the clearer picture. You'll move through this. You can change it. Is the reference I get with that. So, you know, to me, I get the feeling like Roz says, you can cut through this. It's about just taking that breath, raising your vibrations, seeing the clearer picture and taking that step forward. It'll flow.
Yeah, that's what I felt. It is something that can be pushed through, cut through. It is more like the cut for me, what I was feeling there. And no, about her ex, Phil. I'm not getting anything much about that myself, but I felt guided to actually highlight it. Is that something for you?
Okay. What is it with the hands for him? Because all of a sudden, whether your friend Heather's got dry, it was like I had to put hand cream on. I had to take my ring off and put hand cream on. So maybe it's yours I'm picking up on, but I just get the reference to, I feel like I've got the male energy making reference to the dryness in the skin sort of thing. So I don't know if his hands would get quite dry, if he would work with his hands a bit. I don't know what the concrete reference is, so whether the dryness to the hands could be to do with concrete or the acid or something in concrete with that side of it. Okay, I do feel that the 10th or the 10th month is quite important around him as well. So I get the reference that it's either for Heather herself or it's based around him. But I get focus on the 10th with that, or the number 10 with that side of it. Okay, I want to say he passed quite suddenly here one moment and gone the next is the feeling I get. All right, and I do feel that she still sheds the occasional tear for him. So it's that feeling that I want to say there's moments that his thoughts of him or memories of him pop into her head that is very much him being with her at that time on that soul level. Okay, I think I put too much hand cream on. Shows how much notice I was taking. Obviously had very dry hands. You probably have broken nails like I have too at the moment. So,
well, if using concrete, it would be very dry, just from experience and what my ex was after using concrete, because that's what
whether it's alkaline or acid or something like that. I just get the chemicals in it.
Because of the lime in the ground earth.
So I'd be interested to see what the concrete means to him. I just feel like I need to be doing things with my hands all the time. So Jenny, would he use his hands a lot?
I've got this one here too from Cherie as well. Sherry. Not sure if it's pronounced Sherry or Cherie.
I would say Sherry.
Cherie.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, thank you for the thanks.
I appreciate it. So I can't believe we're nearly out of time again, Roz.
Yeah. I was looking at the clock too on there and thinking, timestamps. Yes, 11:19. Oh, actually, it's the first time I've noticed on the back end that there is a timestamp there. I hadn't noticed it at all before, probably because...
Can I let you on a secret? It's always been there.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that I've been made aware of, that there are times many times I've been to Fisherman's Bay now, right? And just the other day driving past, and there's this house on the right that had scaffolding and things that were doing for upgrading. I was, gee, I didn't notice that there. That I didn't notice that last time I was through. And he said, well, it's been happening for months. So it's just something I didn't see because
it didn't get your
I just didn't
attention.
see it. And that is it. I just hadn't noticed there's timestamps on them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As time goes past, talking about timestamps, I like that spirit just started to dig at me, trying to be funny. As time goes past and we are opening up, we start seeing more and more, and that is a big part of strengthening your senses, sort of thing. Is to start looking at the bigger picture in that way. So,
and I think too, with how we notice things, if we were fully aware of absolutely everything all the time, our minds would not cope with that. We couldn't cope with that as the physical being part of who we are. We can on the spiritual level, but we can't in this physical being. So it's got to be filtered some way. So that's why I like synchronicities, because we're actually having things given and shown to us at the perfect time for the synchronicities of what we need right now. And I love that. I mean, that's where being open to spirit, like, trust it. Honestly, trust it.
Trust. And those that are joining in on my online workshop for the next 8 weeks, that's what you're going to hear a lot. Trust and surrender. That is a big thing. Oh, Jenny, you're very welcome, honey. It's my pleasure. Yeah, so excellent. So what have you got coming up this week, Roz? Seeing we're nearly out of time.
Well, gradually growing, being open to having clients again. So I do have a few who have booked in, very open to accepting new ones or having those who haven't been for a while, because I've been out of it whilst I was looking after Mum and after my cancer, like that tumour was removed. There's been time where I've just not been present for doing that sort of work. So, opening up to that again. I'll be getting, once I'm a little more organised, I'll be getting the sound meditations happening here. So in the lounge room, see how that works. You know, it's a go with the flow and being open of what spirit is directing me to do, really. And breathing.
And Roz and I, were we going to go ahead and do a drum workshop?
Yeah, we will. We haven't talked about dates yet.
If you're in the Hills area or down Meningie Way and you're interested in making your own Native American drum, make it and learn how to play it. I can help you with the making. Roz can help you with the playing sort of side of it. You can certainly one of us know if you're interested. Now that the weather's getting warmer, it's a day workshop to make it, about 4 or 5 days to let it dry before you can actually use it. So we can always set that up in a 2-part workshop, Roz, maybe the making and then coming back together as in the using side of it. I think it's a perfect way of doing it. That's where I really started, was with the sound therapy stuff, was because I had a regular heart rate and I wanted to quiet it down. So I was humming. And then the next step to that was, someone invited me to a drumming session. I thought, wow, and it was medicine drums. Yeah. It all shows at the right perfect timing. We get we have health-wise at times too, to trigger something else that, synchronicity, trust it. It's the word of the day. Synchronicity.
Yes, absolutely. So
it is. Might do a post later on that. And doing a little more on sharing info and stuff. I mean, it's been a while since did I ever really do posting and things like that consistently or not? Get websites working again. There's a whole lot of things that you sort of let go by the wayside, and I think, I probably need to beef it up again and actually get them working again. It's finding that order, where to start, what way to do it.
It is, and sometimes it's even weeding out what isn't necessary anymore on that front. How much, do I want to work it? There's so many different variables. Do I even want to work it as a business? It's not my thing, but, it's all just so open the eyes, open the senses, open the heart to what you're hearing from spirit as to what you want, what they want you to do, and what you've actually put out to them that you'd like to do, because it's all, even that has its connection and synchronicity. Go for it, trust it. Comes back to that, trust it and love it. Love. I still find it, wow, I love reading.
Trust it, surrender, own it, love it.
Yeah, so all of that. So, and what do you got coming up specifically?
Me, the next couple of days we're actually putting a event where Flick's been busy this morning getting stuff organised. So we have booked in another. Am I allowed to say that yet? I can say that now, can't I? I've got the go ahead. Otherwise, I might go. I'll look in a second. We have booked in another psychic fair for Murray Bridge. So for those in the Murray Bridge and the Riverland area and whatnot, and even those that like to travel from Adelaide up to our events, because we get a lot of that. People come from that area as well. So mark it in your diaries, the 24th of February. It's a Sunday next year at Murray Bridge Racecourse. We're in the processes, or Flick is in the moment, getting information together for all the stall holders. So we usually have around 50, 60 stall holders, and incredible people come through for the day. It is free to the public to enter. So we're doing that. I've got to do my washing, so I have clean clothes to go to Broken Hill Friday morning. So I'm off to Broken Hill to do a live show at the Demo Club up there as well. So if anybody wants tickets to that, please contact the Demo Club, because they're doing the advertising, the tickets, everything like that. Flick's just told me there could be a giveaway yet for a ticket for that, so keep your eye on my Facebook page, I presume she means. And we're just rescheduling the Horsham show at the moment, which will be early October. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at the moment. So
just crazy. Keep an eye on the pages.
That's it. Exactly, the page, the website.
Yeah, we do have the links in the show description, don't we still? Yeah.
Yes, you do. You've got that there. I'm looking at it right now. They're definitely there on the My Time TV one, at least. Yes. So
I mean, that's my challenge, is to get things working well so that I remember what I'm supposed to do. So
the thing is, though, Ros, we just get it worked out, and then Facebook go and change their algorithms, or something changes the way it works with this, and then we've got to relearn the changes, sort of thing. So, and Spirit is really pushing the technology stuff for myself lately, and I think Flick feels a bit the same. It's amazing this last probably 6 months of how much we have actually absorbed and using the technology side of things a lot more.
Yes, and especially with doing the live streaming videos as well. I mean, that really has come forward from many years ago. I mean, I started out on Hangouts on Air, which is still going, but they're a YouTube instead now. All the different ways. Technology, it's wonderful.
Exactly. Well, I'm pushing my boundaries tonight, learning more about Zoom for the first online workshop. So that's pretty exciting to take that online. And it is also then tomorrow.
Why?
Yeah.
It is.
If I get stuck, I'll be ringing Roz. I better get my own show tomorrow night as well, where I'll be reading on Be Live as well. So, so it's a hectic few days. So Monday will be a quiet day. Thank you everyone for joining in and all your comments.
Zoom just gets downloaded onto your computer, I think, Annette. I've just noticed, oh my God, do I need Zoom? She just connects with the link, isn't it?
Yeah.
She doesn't have to download it.
Check your email. She would have got a link from me yesterday. I will send it out every Monday morning. If you haven't got it, check your junk mail. But there is a link there that you can click on. It will need a registration the first time. So you'll just have to accept something, I think, by memory, and then it will let you into the workshop. So even if you do it a little bit earlier, once you're in, it'll just stay there until I open up the class.
Yeah, and I think each week after that, it should be the same link.
Yep.
From what I remember doing. So
I scheduled it for the 9 weeks. So.
Yeah. So giggles. I like that. Love your giggles. Wonderful, thank you. So thank you everyone that has thank you everyone that's been on with us live. Thank you for those who are going to watch in replay or recorded mode, whichever. It'd be lovely for you to share it around if you feel it's something that your friends would like to watch as well too. Connect with either Leanne or I on our pages or websites when I've got mine going, whichever. And be in tune with spirit, open to what they're trying to tell you, guide you with, and trust.
And don't be afraid to let us know where you're from, whether you're local or anywhere in the world. We'd like to hear where you're from as well.
Yeah, so true.
All right.
Yeah, we're a global.
Lovely show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll see you next week, next time.
Yes,
is the next time, and whatever subject we talk about then. I look forward to it.
Whatever they put in front of us. Bye all.
Bye everyone.
See you later.